Hi everybody, I'm Spike Raven. In this video I'd like to discuss the different upgrades that are available to BattleMechs in MechWarrior Online. As you can see, I've got my UI open. I'm on the Mechlab tab, I'm in the loadout section, and I'm on the upgrades tab. So when we're working with the loadout of our BattleMech, we have this navigation pane in the center left column here that has the different sections of our BattleMech, and then finally it ends with upgrades, and that allows us to interact with our upgrades. So in this video, we'll talk about those upgrades and what they mean for the different tech stacks that are available in MechWarrior Online as well. We'll start with the Inner Sphere, and then we'll move on to the clans. So first of all, when we're upgrading our BattleMech, we have our different type of upgrades, and then whatever you have selected for your BattleMech will be blue, and anything that's gray you can select, and if this turns red, there's a reason you can't select it, and we'll talk about what that means when we show you some examples of stuff I can't select. So let's start out looking at these Inner Sphere upgrades, then we'll move to the clan ones. So first of all, we've got armor. So if we mouse over that, it'll show us a pop-up that contains the information about the upgrade we're looking at. So this is standard armor. We have a name up top. I'd move my mouse over to point to where it says standard armor, but if I move away, I'll lose the pop-up. And then we have a picture that depicts the item, a description of the item, its cost to equip on the BattleMech, and then any additional costs we might incur as we use our BattleMech. So in the case of my standard armor, it won't cost me anything to equip it because I already have it equipped, but as I add more armor to my BattleMech, it will cost me 2,500 C-bills per ton of armor that I add. So let's look at the ferrofibrous armor. What this does is it gives us 12% more protection, and it occupies 14 critical slots in our BattleMech, so we'll have less space available to mount other equipment. If I were to choose this upgrade, I would be charged 500,000 C-bills, and then as I added more armor, I would have a cost of 5,000 C-bills per ton. So, and as you can see, as I go through these pop-ups, we'll see on the bottom it says no warnings. As we get into situations where we can't equip a piece of or not a piece, but an upgrade itself, the warning will tell us why we can't. So let's look at heat sinks. So your standard heat sink removes heat from your BattleMech. So if we look at our double heat sinks, what we'll find is that they remove 40% more heat, but they require triple the amount of space. And to switch the type of heat sinks your BattleMech uses, you will incur a cost of 1.5 million C-bills, plus the price of the amount of heat sinks that you would like to add to your BattleMech. So I do want this upgrade, so I will click it, and we'll see some changes. First of all, we will see that my cart total goes up to 1.5 million C-bills. If you're curious about the different types of currency, the MC is the real world money. So you buy MC from the website, and then you can spend MC in game. So that's how you spend your real money in the game, and then C-bills are what you earn by just playing the game. If you'd like a more in-depth discussion of those, check out my home tab tutorial. I'll go through the different types of currency in detail there. But for this, what's really important to know is that you never have to spend real life money to buy equipment for your BattleMech. So your weapons and your upgrades and such, there's no option to buy them for MC. You can always buy them with C-bills, so you don't have to go out and spend real money. So definitely not behind a paywall or pay-to-win situation with the equipment. It's available to everybody. The only barrier is, of course, earning the C-bills to purchase it. So let's move on to our structure. The structure are the bones of your BattleMech. So standard structure, your structure weighs 10% of your BattleMech's weight. If we go over to Endosteel, what we do is we see a similar situation to the ferrofibrous armor. It makes my skeleton weigh only 5%, so it's half as heavy, but it takes up 14 more slots, so I lose space to put equipment inside my BattleMech, and it costs me 1 million C-bills to equip that on my mech. I'm going to equip that real quick to show you the other change that you may see as you're changing loadout in your BattleMech. If I click on that Endosteel, we'll see that I made a change, so it'll tell me I'm adding 14 slots to my mech, so we knew that. I'm losing 5 tons, and if we look over here at my mech details, you can see that my current weight changed from 10 to 5. I do want lots of space available in this assault mech because he's got 100 tons, so I can put lots of stuff in him. So I'm going to go back to standard structure. And then finally, there's missile guidance. There's standard guidance, and this is just the default tracking system for your short and long range missiles. This does not impact streak missiles at all. So your missile guidance doesn't stack with your streak stuff. So those two systems are separate, and I'll talk more about streak systems when we get to the loadouts proper and we're changing stuff from the warehouse. So let's look at that Artemis upgrade. So that Artemis upgrade tells us a lot of stuff. It tells us that it increases the accuracy of our LRMs and SRMs, that each Artemis enabled weapon takes up one more slot, and that we must equip special ammunition to receive the broadcast from the Artemis system that costs twice as much. And then we see how much it costs. If I were to add this and have some ammo, it would convert my ammo at a cost of 1.5. Oh no, that just converts the ammo. And then the cost for the system there. So we have a total of 1.75 million C-bills to get the system started, and then we see that it makes our lock time less, it makes our tracking strength more, and then our missile spread is tighter, so we get more missiles in the same spot. Something that this pop-up doesn't tell you, that not only does it make the system take up one more slot, it also makes it weigh a ton more. So keep that in mind. That's not listed here currently. And if you are viewing this in the future and they do start listing it, I'm glad they caught that. But for right now, that's not included. And I did want to mention that it does make your missile launchers weigh a ton more. So let's spend a look at these different upgrades, and then we'll show you once you're done choosing your upgrades. As you can tell, I changed to choose the double heatsink upgrade. If I hit save, I'll get a warning because I'm going to use this video in all my tutorial, or this particular BattleMech, not this video, this particular mech in all of my tutorials for upgrading a BattleMech and changing his equipment and such. So he doesn't have an engine or heat sinks or weapons yet, but I can still save him, so I'll say okay. And then it'll tell me what I'm spending, and I'll say okay again. And at any point, you can always hit the cancel button and stop what you're doing and not spend any money. So that's been a look at the inner sphere side of the tech stack. Let's go look at the clan tech stack. So we'll come out to select mech, and we'll change our filter to clan, and we'll pick our adder A, because he's got some missiles, and we'll talk about missiles a little bit more too. So as you can see, my buttons look just a little different, meaning that I can't interact with them. So you see that the armor, heat sinks, and structure, if I mouse over them, I don't get a pop-up. I'm clicking, I can't change it. This is one of the biggest difference between the inner sphere and the clan tech stack. The inner sphere chassis are more flexible than the clan chassis. Clan chassis can change their individual components. What that's called is Omni technology. So clan mechs are called Omni mechs a lot of the time, and I can take parts of my BattleMech off. I can take his arm off and replace it with another arm. And that would allow me to change the hard points that are available on a BattleMech. I cannot do that with an inner sphere mech. So for that flexibility of being able to change my hard points, I lose the ability to change anything about my chassis. So that's been a talk about that. So let's talk about how these upgrades are implemented slightly differently. Again, we can't choose them, but once you purchase a BattleMech, it will have either standard armors or ferrofibrous and so on and so forth. So we'll have some of the upgrades available, but we just don't get to pick them. So in this case, let's talk about the clan ferrofibrous armor. Clan standard armor is identical to inner sphere standard armor. Its ferrofibrous armor is different. It's less bulky. It only takes up 7 slots instead of the 14 that inner sphere does, and it offers slightly more armor protection as well. So it's about 13% instead of 12%. The next thing are the heat sinks. The heat sinks, again, are very similar. Standard heat sinks are identical. The double heat sinks provide 40% more heat dissipation, and in this case, again, we see that they're less bulky. Rather than taking up 3 slots, they only take up 2. So less bulky again. And then structure. Standard structure is identical to inner sphere standard structure, but the endosteel is less bulky. Endosteel, Clan Endosteel still weighs half as much, but only takes up 7 slots, so we have more room if we choose to equip those. And then finally, they have the Artemis system as well. It is identical. So if we look at it, standard guidance, it's going to cost me on 25,000 C-bills to take this off the mech. And then we look at the Artemis, which it does have equipped. It's exactly the same. And again, they're missing the portion of the information that tells you that the weapon will weigh a ton more as well. So this is identical to the Inner Sphere system. Now, a couple things. If you have a mech that has equipment, such as this one, what we'll do is we'll go look at his right arm. He has an SRM-6 with Artemis. If I change my missile guidance, we'll see some things change about my BattleMech. I lost some tonnage. I got this weird little icon. What it did is it removed the missile systems that had Artemis. It will change my ammo type. See, now I have clan ammo and it doesn't say plus Artemis 4 anymore. It'll change your ammo types for you, but because it changes the amount of slots it takes up, it removes the other missile systems. So let's go back and we'll go back to Artemis. Now I won't get my missiles back, but we'll see my ammo change. So we've got the ammo, and then if I open up missiles, I have Artemis missiles available to me. So we'll put the Clan SRM-6 with Artemis back in, and we'll look at our upgrades again just to show you how this mechanic works. We'll change it again, and we'll see that in my right arm, my missile went away again. I can't pick Artemis missiles anymore, Artemis missile systems anymore, and my ammo changed. So when you're working with your BattleMech, keep that in mind. If you switch this Artemis, you'll drop your launchers and change your ammo. So you don't drop the ammo, you keep that, but you drop the launchers. So, and then finally, let's give you an example of the warnings that can occur that I discussed earlier. So if we go back to Inner Sphere, I will pick my Banshee. And this will let us talk about a couple more things about this menu. I changed the load of my adder, and it's letting me know that if I move, I will, or if I leave my current loadout, it'll erase it, and I do want that to occur, so I'm just going to say yes. So here's our Banshee. Now the Banshee doesn't have any missile system hardpoints, so he can't equip missiles, and we see that I can't mess with his missile guidance or get his pop-ups. Now, he does have some situations in which he cannot equip an upgrade, so that's listed in red. So as we discussed earlier, blue means that's what you selected, gray means you can select it, and red means you cannot select it, and there's a reason. So let's look at the ferrofibrous armor. Simple reason for that is I don't have enough slots. I've got this mech all loaded out and he's full of equipment, so there's not enough room to put the ferrofibrous armor in him. I could switch my heat sinks if I wanted, and that does lead to the same situation as the missiles. It'll strip out all my equipped heat sinks, and then I would add the other kind. So let's take a look here at his right torso. You see he has a double heat sink. So let's go standard, and then we'll open up his right torso again, and you see it's removed the heat sink. And I've gained about 7 tons. Looks like I had 7 tons of heat sinks in this BattleMech, so those all got stripped out. And then finally what we'll see is that my standard structure went back to being gray from red because it was too heavy before. So what I'll do is I'll reset my mech. So this will let me undo the changes I've made. So he's back to the way it was before with all of his heat sinks. Our structure is back to being red, and if we mouse over that, yep, too heavy. So this has been a look at the upgrades, the information that's provided on these screens and how to access it, what some of these upgrades mean if you can't see that information, and how to equip and purchase them. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have, please subscribe to my channel. I have other UI tutorials, some gameplay tutorials, and some discussion about the lore of BattleTech and MechWarrior Online as well. As always, have great luck on the battlefield, and I hope to see you there. Thanks a lot.